Hello. Our next lesson is going to be on typography. Typography is letter work. It's also going to be like how letters are made, how words are used in art. It's essentially everything to do with the art of letters and letter work. Tools we're going to need for this lesson: we'll need a pen or a marker, we'll need pencil, eraser, you'll need something that you can record notes on if you are a handwriting person. Keep in mind you will have something that you have to turn in written in Canvas, and we'll go over that in a second. You'll need 3 pages of the 8 grid boxes, so here we go, 3 of those. You will also need 1 of the big boxes, of the big grids. We'll go over what that is for in just a moment. So let me put this on the docking station. 1 moment. All right. So here's what we're going to start out with. As I break into this, the first thing that I want you to know, these small boxes are going to be 9 squares by 13 squares on the small box. The large one, we're looking at 19 inches by, 19 blocks by 28 blocks. And you'll have it setting in this direction. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and label the small boxes: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to skip 7, we're going to skip 9. Then we're going to label big A and small a, big B and small b, capital C and small c, capital E and small e, capital K and small k, capital M and small m, capital S and small s, capital X and small x. And the next thing we need to do is decide what type of font we want to have. The font options: serif means, and I actually got these backwards on here. Serif is when you have these little marks right here and right here on a letter. Sans serif is when you don't. So this would be a sans serif font. This would be a serifed font. Bold is when the letterwork is a little bit thicker. Italic is when it's slanted to the side. So instead of being straight up like these others, this one is slanted to the side. Skinny kind of speaks for itself. It's a little skinnier than all the rest. Rounded, it's a little fatter than all the rest, and it's round all the way around. Pixelated, that's when it's just a whole bunch of blocks put together. Think about old video games, or there are a few fonts that you could get into in Word or in Google Docs that are going to be pixelated. Whimsical, that's when you've got some fun stuff to it. There are some kind of fun elements to it, whether it's curls, whether it's bubbles that are added to it, different shapes added to the lettering. Rough would be kind of a jagged texture, or where it looks like it's squiggly or kind of sharp and knife-like. Stylized would be any type of kind of has an extra art approach to it. And sharp, you're going to just have sharp corners. You're not going to have any rounding whatsoever. Bubble letters, you guys have been drawing those since you were in elementary school. And graffiti, so you could go with the graffiti style. The first thing you're going to do is decide which of these you want to go with. After you've decided which of those you want to go with, you want to decide how tall it's going to be. So we're looking at up to 13 tall. And then you want to decide how wide. We're looking at up to 9 wide. You can have it be skinnier. If I was going to do a skinny font, I may have it be all 13 tall, but I may only go over 6, so it's tall and skinny. And then if I were going to do a fat one, maybe I don't want to have it as tall. Maybe I only want to go up 9, and I want to have it take all 9 going across. So those are things to consider. If you're going to do pixelated, you'll probably use the whole box. If you're going to do whimsical, you'd probably use the whole box. So those are all things to keep in mind. Then your midway height. Your midway height is going to come in two places. So if I am working on my A's, my midway on the A, however high I come up, my midway is going to be where my crossbar is. On my lowercase, my midway is going to be where the top of that goes. Or I may decide that I want to have a low midway on all of my capital letters and a high midway on all of my lowercase. And it's going to have to be consistent throughout. Wherever I put my midway, how tall I put my letters, how wide I put my letters needs to be the same in each one of them. And then the other thing to consider is going to be my line thickness and the variations. So I want to make those as consistent as possible. Now I have started a set here, and with this set, what I've got going is right now I'm just spelling out my name, just to kind of give it a perspective. And then I'm starting out with M-I-C, and then over here I'll have the H. I'll follow this up. Now, right here, I'm 3 across. Here, I'm 3 across. So I want to make sure that I'm 3 across here. I have a serif at the top and bottom, so I'm going to follow this serif across. I'm going with a rounded serif. So I bring that up. I'm going to bring this up and serif it at the top. I'm going lowercase here. If you'll notice over here, it's skinnier on this side than it is on that side with the M. So on this side it's going to be thicker, and over here it's going to be thinner. And I need to allow myself room to do a serif. So on this, I'll come up from here with my rounded serif, and I'll come up from here with my rounded serif. My midway point is in the same spot, so I'm up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's going to be my midway point. Since I'm rounding these off, I'm going to continue to round it off. So I'll come up here. My serifs are round, so these edges are going to be round as well. If I had straight serifs or angled serifs, then I would have these interior edges straight as well. And so I'll bring this up, and I'm going to mirror this as I come across, which is going to look a little bit thin right here. And I think that's too thin. So what I'm going to do is take up the whole brick. And come across here. Bring that up to here. And this is where the eraser comes in handy. Because this is rounding, going from 3 to 1, it's going to not quite match up. So I'll have to do some erasing. It's okay because I'm going to go over this all and thicken this out. Now, you'll notice that I have this dot here, I have that dot there, that one, that one. So I need to figure out a place to put the dot in here. Because that's one of my little whimsical things that I'm adding to it. I could add it right at the top of the arch, or I could add it in like I did on the eye. I think I'm going to do it that way. So what I'll do is put that in here, and we are 1, 2, 3, 4 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4 up. Draw that in there, and 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to also put it here and to get rid of it here. Now it's not going to fully come off because I pressed it in pretty hard. So when I redo this, and I'll redo this, I'll fix that. I also just noticed that over here, I skipped that. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to put that in. This is only 2 over here. I'm going to even that out and then match it out. But I need to put that circle in there. So that's going to go right here. Like that. And then I can just fill this in. Now this isn't as dark as the other one because I used a different pencil, but that's okay. This is just for demonstration purposes. If I was doing this for an actual project, if I had a client that wanted me to design a letter for them, then obviously I wouldn't turn it in this sloppy. So I'll have that. I'll get this shaded in. All of this would be shaded in over here, except for the inside of that. Notice that I have serifs here and they are round. I have a serif here and it's round. I have that. So next I would go to my A. And again, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. And I'm favoring them all to the left. So if my top is 6, this is 3. Then I'm looking at, and then we're getting thinner at the top. Actually, I made that too high over here. I'd need to come in and correct that. That should be the top, the bottom should be lower. So again, that's why we do this in pencil to start out with, so we can make these adjustments. So before I get on that A, I'll come over here and make that adjustment. I need the top to be 6, which means that the bottom needs to be lower. Let's make it here. So that's going to be my bottom. These will be erased. Even this out. And that evens out like that. Now I'm pressing hard so that you guys can see it on the camera. I would hope that you guys don't press as hard as I am. And the reason, you'll notice I'm having a hard time erasing. I don't want you guys to have that same problem. So make sure that you're pressing lightly. And so just to kind of fill this in to give you guys an idea. That'll look like that. And then once I have all of these done, I can come in and start to use the marker to clean it up. Or pen, whichever one you decide to go with. So I'll do this here with the H and the C, just to kind of show you what that can look like. And this makes a dramatic difference. And I would hope you guys would take your time with this. I am kind of rushing through it so that I can get the video in a short amount of time. So if it's too long, it costs me money and I don't want to have to pay for it. So I'll go through here, and then it's just a matter of filling this in. And it's a lot easier to fill these in with a marker than it is pencil. or with a pen than it is pencil. The downside is it's permanent. Pencil you can erase. And it also bleeds through. You can see that. That's why I put something underneath. I don't want to wreck my table. So I will go ahead and finish these out. I just want to show you how this looks once these are done. I'll finish this out and I'll post the finished product online so you guys can see what that will look like. And then I will also skip ahead and do some of the letters and, some of the numbers as well. But I wanted you to be able to see the difference between the uppercase and the lowercase, and I wanted you to be able to see the kind of the process on that. So that's where we're at with that. Again, on here, same thing. If I come in, fill these out. So I'll get my outline and then fill from the outside in. I would use a ruler on this, again, if I were doing this professionally or for a grade. Since I'm just doing this for a demo and I'm doing it to be quick, it's not going to be as neat. Okay, so there we have the outline. It's just a matter of filling it in now, and then once I get this filled in, those ghosting lines won't look quite as bad as they do. It'll be a lot easier to distinguish between what's intended and what's not. Now, a word about your fill. When you use a marker, if you're using a marker, and you see the marker lines on here, the way to correct that is to go over it again going a different direction. So if I do all of my lines this way, and I've got some marker lines, then if I just go over them this way, those marker lines bleed away. And so like right here, you can see a difference. If I go over it, now you can't. It's the same way with Sharpie. This is just a generic Sharpie, but it's the same principle. Also going slow like this, slow methodical strokes, does the same thing. But you have more bleed through this way. So there's pros and cons to both. Your markers also last longer when you go slowly like that. But I'm in a hurry for the sake of time. Okay, so there's kind of what we're looking at. And like I said, I would do the A, the E, the L, and then maybe a C here, just to kind of finish that out. But that is how you would do that. If I want to do a, let's say a 2, I'm going to follow the same rule. So I'm looking at using all of the width, and I'm looking at 3 wide on the side. So I would come over here, come across, I'm going to come up. I am serifed, so I'm going to bend that over. And on this side, it's been a little bit lower, or excuse me, thinner over here. It's only been 1. So again, let's serif that over, bring that to the 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to come up 3, before I come over, and then I'm going to kind of follow around. Over here it's going to be 3 again. I'm going to come up 3. And I'm going to come to this edge where it'll be the 1. So there's my outside. It's a serif again. So I will actually come over 1 to there, and then this will be rounded to start the rounding here. Remembering that it's going to get skinnier as it comes this way. Cheat that across. Notice how it goes from 3 across to a little over 1.5 over here. I want to bring that over to where it's 1. Right here at its thickest. And that up here, that'll be 1. And so whatever my rules are, I have to follow it all the way across. So now as I come in, I've got 3 over here, 1 here, I've got 1 at the top, 1 on the side. I have a serif here and a serif here. Now I could do the serif this way, or I could bring the serif in this way. And I think I like that better. So that's what I'll go with. And because I made this skinnier, I need to go through and erase that. And I have, because that serif's going, or I made this serif go in, that's why I made that one go in. So that again, we have consistency. Then it's just a matter of getting my outlines in. Now I need to figure out where I'm going to put my circle. Here I've got it up 4. So do I have room to do a 4 here? Not necessarily. Do I have room to do a 4 here? Not necessarily. So I'm going to split the difference this time and do it in the middle instead of doing it on the number itself, or I mean in a line. When I do my 5 will be similar. My S's might be a little similar just because of the shape that they are. If I decided to do a cursive Z, then that would be similar. Then I would go through and fill that in. But this is enough right now to get you guys started. I will include some pictures of some finished products and have those in the Canvas website as